Beautiful. At first, I thought she was telling me, like, you're only supposed to do one song. Like, cut the mic. It's my turn. But I was like, oh no, it's not that.
Here. Hold on. Just make sure I got some mic. I want to introduce you. Hold on.
I'm surprised I didn't mess up the lyrics. Oh, damn.
You got this? Okay, we'll go up there and introduce them all. Here you go. Josh? I'm going to take some pictures here. Ron, stay right here. I'm going to introduce him. Hold on. Okay, let's give this guy some respect over here. Okay, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to come into the area of the dance floor or the stage because we're going to have a special dedication and you can go back to drinking and do your own thing. So let's get out there right now, front and center, right before the food comes out. But this is important because what we are is a venue here that we're in Fort Plain, and the most iconic ball player coming out of Fort Plain is that man right there, Mr. Bud Fowler. The first black American ball player to ever play in the major leagues, and we honored him. And because we honored him with our own memorial outside, we actually got him into the Hall of Fame, which was a leap of faith, and he is now being inducted officially into the Hall of Fame in July of 2022. He was actually voted in by the Veterans Committee, or the veterans of a different era from the 1890s to the early 1900s. They voted him in as a veteran ball player. He got 75% of the votes, and he was brought in. So, in honor of this man, we made some amazing artwork. Our next assignment is the great Yankee, Thurman Munson. Now, this particular piece of artwork you see over the Munson sign, we have it here. It's going to be sold online and actually at the Black Baseball Museum out of Missouri, and then we're going to have it at the Hall of Fame too. But Mr. Munson, the great Yankee, who unfortunately passed away from an untimely airplane crash, lost his life at the prime of his career. And because he only played 10 complete seasons, the Hall of Fame did not consider him to be a Hall of Famer. So I believe that this man belongs in the Hall of Fame. So I took the initiative and said, you know something? We're going to make our own memorial for Thurman Munson. We're going to have our own petition for Thurman Munson, and we're going to get him also in the Hall of Fame. So there we go. And this man to my left, I met him at a networking event, Mr. S.C. Static, about a month and a half ago. I approached him about writing a song in honor of the first black American to ever play professional baseball. And of course his name is Bud Fowler. And he looked at me and he's like, what's this dude talking about? What? And then we started talking. He told me about his baseball skill set, that he played for Fordham, the Fordham Rams, right? I know because I went to Hofstra, we played Fordham in basketball. But he loved the game of baseball. He couldn't believe this was the first black American to play the game. And then he started doing some research. And then he wrote a song. And the song is going to be played here for the first time in front of a live audience right now. We hope that the Hall of Fame will allow me and Mr. Static to sing it live at Bud Fowler's induction in July of 2022. But tonight is the debut of the song. And just so you know, it's a rough version because we're trying to get licensing to use the sample that we use from a great, fantastic song from the 80s called I Want to Thank You by Alicia Myers. Fantastic song written by Kevin McCord. And that man, we've been trying to reach him for months. He hasn't taken our calls, hasn't taken our emails, or hasn't actually responded to them. We found out that even though you make it as an artist sometimes, you fall on bad times sometimes, and things happen. So he's going through a rough patch right now, and at this point, we hope he gives us the licensing. We're reaching out to Alicia Myers, the artist of the song. It was a top 10 dance song in 1981. So we sampled it. Mr. Static added his own lyrics, and I want you to hear the song and give him a lot of encouragements. And let's give him a nice round of applause right now, because he's going to sing it for us. And this man right here believed in the concept, believed in Mr. Fowler, and believes in the directive of this bank and what we're doing. Because we're going to be doing a Broadway show here for the first time in March. Actually, it's March 26th of 2022. The producer Sean Lynch and myself are producing an amazing show, a Broadway show, that's going to appear here first in previews and then go to Broadway. It's going to go all over the country and then to Broadway. And the name of the show is called Wildfire Dogs. And it's about Joe DiMaggio meeting Arthur Miller at a fictitious bar, which is going to be right here at the Waldorf Astoria, and their interaction of hatred, because they basically hated each other. Because they both loved Marilyn Monroe, but they hated each other. Marilyn Monroe was first married to Joe D for about a year, and then to Arthur Miller for about 4 years. So these two men wanted to go at it, and the play is about them having a conversation with a bartender and themselves. So that's going to be really cool. So right now we're going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Static. Appreciate him coming all the way here from upstate New York, and even further upstate to join us 2.5 hours away. So we're going to turn him on. Mr. Dubb, we got the music for him. We're all good?
He's got that.
Okay, ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, thank you. Yo, Bud Fowler dealt with enough doubters, wondering how we handle corrupt power. That's why we gotta give credit and every props to him, cause the first black player wasn't Jackie Robinson. Did you know that? Neither did I. Turns out this whole time we believed in a lie for so long. That's why we're doing this song, cause of what he's overcome, and the truth is he's wrong. For the road you paved, and the hope that you gave, for the bold and brave. For the souls you saved, it's a shame that your story's never told the praise. For the hope you gave, and the road that you paved, for the bold and brave. So we chose today to bestow how you play, cause you showed the way, cause he deserves all the acknowledgement and homage. A problem that we left all his accomplishments forgotten. Bud Fowler, think John W. Jackson in Fort Plain, New York, is it what happened? 1878, he went to the majors, first African-American professional player, May 17th, for the Little Live folks against Ontario at only 20 years old. For the road you paved, and the hope that you gave, for the bold and brave. For the souls you saved, it's a shame that your story's never told the praise. For the hope you gave, and the road that you paved, for the bold and brave. So we chose today to bestow how you play, cause you showed the way from town to town and to bounce around. All because the skin that's under his brow was brown, but never found a frown to get down and now. Cause on the mound he'd astound and go pound for pound with any professional who put in games to excel, both as a pitcher and position player as well. But yet it never seemed to lower his self-esteem, and ended up playing on over a dozen teams. Ontario, New Orleans, man, his play was separate teams in 17 states from Maine to Texas. But not to mention how it often gets, every day faced with awful taunts and threats. Respected or rejected cause they're threatened by his essence, objected to his presence and eventually protested, and treated as if being equal again. 1881 dropped before the season began. Forfeiters and sinners who act bitter cause they'd rather be acquitted than lose to a black pitcher. And there's just a little glimpse of what he's been through. Damn, imagine if there would have been you. Never deferred, always work and persevere through the worst that he's endeared to a 30-year career. Yo, for the road you paved, and the hope that you gave, for the bold and brave. For the souls you saved, it's a shame that your story's never told and praised. For the hope you gave, and the road that you paved, for the bold and brave. We chose today to bestow how you play, cause you showed the way. From being mistreated, even fine with fees, and spend time in the Negro and minor leagues with white players acting Fowler in the condo, refusing to participate with Fowler in the lineup. But instead of prejudice, giving his mind rage, the same year won 4 straight games in 5 days, was paved the way. Now much later there would be an 87 of the 7 colored players in the league, from Moses Fleetwood walking to Frank Grant. But that's when segregation and taking the plain stance drew a color line out of hatred and deceit, unofficially banning all colored players from the league. Then that a necessity made it his dream to manage his own black pro baseball team. The Pace Fence Giants, who would play with the pros and end up winning 82 straight games in a row. The blatantly show clearly could compete with each other. Never knew this due to lack of certain media coverage, and this persisted for 50 years. Unbeknownst, but for most it could bring the tears. But through the pain he uncovered a lane which others have gained, and did it for the love of the game. Just to show that your shade of skin shouldn't matter if you're great and you play to win. Yeah, for the road you paved, and the hope that you gave, for the bold and brave. For these souls today, cause you're saying that your story's never told and praised. Yo, for the hope you gave, and the road that you paved, for the bold and brave. So we chose today to bestow how you play, cause you showed the way.
Yeah! Stay right there, buddy. Mr. Static, fantastic. Thank you so much. And come up here, man. We only have a few guys up here in this facility, but you know something? Our voices will always be heard. This is an intimate event. He did a great job. Give a nice round of applause. Once again, everybody, Mr. Static in the house. And turn around, I want to show you this. This is the original uniform that was, you know, obviously it's a replica. Otherwise it'd be from 1898, but wow, cool. This is the actual uniform type and style that was Bud Fowler's. Turn around. This was a team that he played for called the Page Fence Giants, and most people don't even know that, but not only did he play for the Page Fence Giants, he owned the Page Fence Giants. He owned that team. He was the first, he actually co-owned it, he was the first black baseball player professionally and the first black person to own a major league baseball team. Because now the Baseball Hall of Fame is considering all the old Negro leagues actually professional leagues. So they're coming into the Hall of Fame left and right, and this man was #1. And if you listen to Spectrum, they just did a big story, Spectrum New York, in Albany, New York, about Mr. Fowler, that he is considered to be not only a great icon in terms of starting his own baseball club, being the first black American to play professional baseball. This man was a great baseball player. People forget that. Think about this. There's guys out there making $20 million a year, and they're batting 270, 260. This dude batted 320 one year, had about 65 or 70 stolen bases, and people were afraid of this dude. They were afraid of his talent. Yeah, go for it.
I had to actually, to make the song kind of have a structure, I took out a lot of lyrics, a lot of bars, and some of those lyrics included that he was kicked out of the league at #3 in the batting average. White players refused to play against him because they basically weren't the best anymore and couldn't handle it, and didn't want to lose. And then he ended up managing his own team out of necessity. But not only that, he barbered in between gigs with his father to make a living. Like, he literally played just to play. Like, we watch sports now, and there's so much money involved. And I know I'm a white person too, but I just gotta say, I grew up, my father taught me, and like I always used to say, Willie Mays is my favorite baseball player, and I still say that to this day. And I just really respect baseball. And if this was about another player in a different sport, I probably wouldn't have taken the time to write this song. But this felt like it was meant for me to maybe give an attempt to write this song. But I just appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I think that's great of you to do that, very magnanimous, and also stay up here for a second. The bottom line is, this man went through a lot of pain, trials, and tribulations. Most professional ball players, even in the modern days, they'll play on maybe 7, 8, 10 teams. This man played on 62 teams. Think about that for a second. 62 baseball teams in around a 20-year career. That's outrageous. And another thing, I'm sure you guys know about stealing bases. You know, when the guy moves from first to second, he steals a base, right? Okay, well, this guy would steal the bases so well that these other dudes at shortstop and second base, when they covered the base, they were like, you know, we're going to teach this dude a lesson. We're going to jack this guy up. What we're going to do is we're going to cut him. And they sharpened their spikes so that when he went to second base, they'd stomp on him. And he developed a lot of scars that really hurt him in his career. And if you remember some of the stories we talked about when we were writing the song, when Static was writing it, and I was helping him contribute to the material, is that the man used to use wooden planks on the sides of his thighs and his ankles so that he wouldn't get cut up and the spikes wouldn't rip his skin off his body. So this man paid his dues, and that's why, as a baseball player myself, to this day, I still play with guys in different, you know, semi-pro leagues. I play for MABL. It's all about respect. And I think this guy needed to be respected, needed to be understood, and as an icon of baseball, he needed to be promoted and to be edified and enshrined in the Hall of Fame. That's what the song's about. Because at the enshrinement ceremony, I'm pleading right now with the Hall of Fame. They told me, listen, Allen, Mr. Allen, you've called about 50 times. I think that's enough right now. I said, no, it's not enough. Because I'll never stop until this man gets his due. And Static will tell you, I call this guy 2 o'clock in the morning. Hello? Song ready? Are we doing it? What's going on? And that's what I do, because it's not about money to me either. It's about the passion of the game, the passion of the sport, and the diligence and the zealousness to constantly understand that this man did some great things for baseball, and we're going to continue that. So I also like to dedicate this night, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but my father is in the hospital, and I want everyone to pray for him because he's a great guy, a great baseball fan. And I also would like to thank Static and thank Mr. Dubb and thank all the people that come here that believe in me and believe in my vision for the space, because he was born in Fort Plain. And that's one of the reasons why I bought this bank, was to honor him and to honor all art across the whole state. And we're doing it. I need the community's help. I'd like to thank Josh. Josh, stand up for a second, Josh, because Josh, he's a great guy. Give him a nice round of applause, because he maintains this whole bank with Manly. Manly, come out here wherever you are. Manly, he's a real man, Manly. All right, this is Manly Baker Jr. Give him a nice round. This is his motorcycle right here as a prop that he dedicated this for one night so we can take some pictures. So once again, I hope you're watching, Dad, from your hospital room. And telepathically, you know that I'm with you, but I'm also with the vision to promote this great man, Bud Fowler, and Thurman Munson as well, and that we want and pray that you get better so you can see this bank, because you never saw it. I want him to see it, and I want him to see it wherever he is. I don't want to get too emotional right now, but this is more than anything in my world right now, is his health, and I want him to recover. He's been through a lot. He's 87 years old, but he's a great baseball player. I mean, great baseball fan. Great baseball fan, and I was very happy to show him the artwork from Lawrence Alicia of the Munson piece and the Bud Fowler piece. And the last thing is, we're doing a coin to honor Bud Fowler, because if you look at your phones and you go on the internet, you'll find out that they minted 3 coins for 3 fantastic former black ball players that played in the major leagues that are honored now, also in the Hall of Fame. But they didn't mint a coin for Bud Fowler. So, step in Allen action. I'm going to mint my own coin for Bud Fowler, and it's going to be larger than any of the other coins because he's the first one to be nominated into the Hall of Fame and to get in the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a huge coin. Only 300 will be the original minted amount. It'll be available here and also online, and at the Baseball Hall of Fame, hopefully, and at the Black Baseball Hall of Fame. So that's going to be coming out, hopefully, in March. Probably end of March, before our next event. And the last thing is, I know and thank you for all being here to support me and my dad. But March 26th, once again, you'll be back, because Bud Fowler's birthday is March 16th, 2022, and March 26th is our next official event, and it'll be called Broadway at the Bank, and we're gonna have our own Broadway show here, which will be very intimate. We're thinking 250 to 300 people. We have some very famous actors and actresses who will be appearing, and it's a very incredible alignment of stars and great story, and we want everyone in this area and beyond to come. So on that note, let's give Mr. Static a nice round of applause, and thank you for being here. Our food is coming up shortly, and we're gonna have a little fashion show right now. One to get ready, Claudine. Claudine, this girl is very loyal. This girl, Claudine, came all the way from the state of Florida. That's pretty good, right? Did you bring some warmth with you, honey? Let's give her a nice round of applause. Claudine Lee. Thank you so much, Mr. Static. And we're gonna have some more music, and the food's coming out from Papa Joe's. We know you love the food here. Of course, the bar is open. Yay. With Desiree, our bartender, who's fantastic. Thank you for coming, everybody. We're gonna play some music. Mr. Dubb, you're on next. Let's get